Welcome to Fun with Annuities, where every single week I welcome a celebrity guest expert that can help you maximize Chapter 2 of your life. Listen, learn, laugh, and love every minute of the most unique financial podcast on the planet. Let's get to it. Welcome to Fun with Annuities. I'm your host, Stan, the Annuity Man, America's Annuity Agent, licensed in all 50 states. I'm so glad that my guest is here with me once again, second appearance on Fun with Annuities. Marcia Mantell, how are you?
Hey, Stan, thanks so much for having me back. And I'm doing very well. Thank you.
You know, it's almost a Pavlovian thing at this point. People who don't know Pavlov, please Google it. I don't have time for that. But it's Pavlovian when you're on, because I'm thinking lasagna, because our last talk was about how retirement planning is like making lasagna. And I'm still haven't made it to the to beloved Massachusetts to get my lasagna from Marsha, but I'm going to eventually. So
and I welcome you with open doors here to my home, and I will be happy to make any flavor of lasagna you like.
Wow, yeah. Is there flavors?
Well, you know, like, because we talked last time, some people are vegetarians, some people are gluten-free, you know, and some people.
If you're picky with lasagna, you need to check yourself. Okay. That's ridiculous. So as you know, Marsha, have my pulse on the industry all the time. I'm checking in. I've got the red phone, the Grand Poobah phone, but I'm seeing you popping up everywhere, Marsha. Tell us about what you're doing.
Thank you. I am extremely grateful for the support and the network I have in the industry, including you, my friend Stan, the Annuity Man. But I have had some new opportunities to do some webinar panels recently with Think Advisor.
Yeah,
you know, the big shop Think Advisor. I write articles every other month for Think Advisor about Social Security and connecting the dots, really trying to help advisors think a little more strategically, you know, about Social Security. It's not easy. And then I got a call a couple of weeks ago. It's like, hey, Marsh, can you be on a panel with some of the industry elite, Stan? I don't know why they called me. But yeah, I got to be on with David Blanchett and Christine Benz, and, you know, just name drop.
All of those people have been on the program, of course.
Of course. And, you know, they're so very smart, and they're much more investment. Some of them much more into investments than I am. That's what they do really well. But, you know, I had a piece to say as well, and really try to help keep things in perspective is my big word during this. Well, the theme of the webcasts were around, these panels were around the recession. And we all agreed, we're not really sure what this is. But David Blanchett came up with he goes, we don't know if it's quite a recession yet or what is out there, but he's calling it a hot mess. And I think that's exactly the technical term we all need to embrace. Is it's just a freaking hot mess out there in the market and the economy.
It is.
So yeah, so I did that, and I'm doing some more writing. And then I'm just very, very fortunate to have invitations. People want to hear what I have to say about podcasts, about Social Security and Medicare on podcasts.
Well, let's talk about Social Security. Tell me about what's going on. Anything new that you remember, this isn't an industry thing. This is consumer. These are consumers, all 50 states listening to you.
Right.
And they're leaning in because I just said Social Security. So is there anything new they need to know about?
Well, the very exciting thing, and I'm sure they do know at this point, is Social Security did get a very large boost. You know, on one hand, we're all lamenting inflation is on the rise in a pretty significant way. On the other hand, those who are getting Social Security or are waiting to claim will still get the benefit of this big 8.7% increase. So it's a big deal. They'll see it in their first checks in January. And on average, average around $140 per month. I mean, like, you're going to see this is real money, and it's not $5 or $6. And those at the high end getting Social Security more in that $3,000 a month range, it's $300. It's getting very close to that mark. So people are going to have some real money in their pockets to then offset the grocery bills. So it is really good news with Social Security. especially, I think about the older Americans, moms and dads and grandparents in their late 80s and their 90s. You can't go to work when you're 85, by and large. People don't, the employers are not clamoring for you.
It's a tough hire.
It really is. So there's, the occasional few, but
Sure.
mostly not. So they're really depending on Social Security to offset maybe their portfolios that have gone down more than they're happy with. So anyway, it's mostly good news with Social Security. And I'm just really happy that everything is out. It's out timely and people can plan accordingly or know that it's coming.
Yeah, and Social Security was never intended to be the source for most people's income and retirement. But as we both know, and the studies show, I think it's like 60% of the people, adults, have like $400 in their checking account.
Yeah.
We live in bubbles, me and you and the people listening, that, we really do. It really affects people on the low end, but the increase, and this is the best inflation annuity on the planet, is going to help people at the low end. Because I know you go to the store and you buy ingredients for lasagna, it's a little bit more expensive, Marcia.
It is. And inflation is one of my other favorite topics, and I do track a lot about inflation. And a year ago,
wait a minute, you had some unique thing that you tracked. You were telling me like there was like it wasn't like ice cream, but it was something weird. It was ice cream.
It's ice cream. You totally remember.
Oh
it's
my
ice
gosh.
cream. Yeah, I have this very small basket of what I think are the most important foods besides lasagna.
So it's the Mantell index. Is this the Mantell index?
The Mantell.
Yeah, I've read about
I
that.
love that.
I've read about that. Yes.
Yeah. And it's ice cream, coffee, peanut butter, and chocolate. I have a few like sugar and some fruit and whatnot, but
so consumer price index, CPI, has been replaced by the Mantell index, is what I'm hearing.
Well, when life gets tough, Stan, you're not just eating cereal and bananas, right? Like you go right for the ice cream, you go right for the chocolate, and really you put the two together. So I like to know what's going on with those important food groups.
What's the Mantell index telling us at this point, Marcia?
Well, ice cream was, a year ago, ice cream was not moving too much. It had held pretty steady, even though overall food was up. But it's up a lot, 13.6% year over year.
Ice cream's up 13.6.
Yes.
All right.
So, it's a dilemma. So inflation, again, has some good news with Social Security.
Let's go down through. How about peanut butter?
Peanut butter is up 11.2.
Is that creamy or is that crunchy?
Well, it's both. And my husband is a big creamy guy, so we always have to have Jif creamy at home, but I love chunky peanut butter.
Exactly.
Yeah, both.
And then what's the next one?
Coffee.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, but that can be broken down into cheap gas station coffee, no offense to gas stations, or premium coffee. So what's the Mantell index say on that?
Yeah, the coffee, which these are the averages across all kinds of coffee grounds, so we haven't made the Frappuccino yet, or whatever it's called. Coffee's up a ton, 15.7. And this is kind of a non-negotiable. Like I could do ice cream every third day. Let's say coffee.
Yeah. We got to do. And chocolate, same thing. It can go low end and high end.
Yeah. And again, this is the manufacturing part of chocolate. So I look at that. It's chocolate and confectionery. So even if you don't like chocolate for some unknown reason, other confectionery manufacturing that's based on an index. With the index is 100. You want to be at 100. We're at 122. And it's like this little mountain going up in the last year.
We're at what?
122 instead of 100. So it's a really big increase in all the costs that go into manufacturing chocolate. So I'm thinking, holidays are right around the corner, right? Yes. I get those little, I don't know, do you get the little turkey mold candy, little chocolate turkeys wrapped in that beautiful foil?
My wife they never get to me. She intercepts everything.
Well, I love those little gold foil turkeys. So I start with, forgot Halloween. I mean, we had so much extra candy this year, I gave it away. So we have the turkeys, and then we have Hanukkah, Gelt, we have Christmas, we have other holidays that all have chocolate with them. So I think I'm going to have to, budget, sort of be thoughtful this year, not just willy-nilly buy whatever I want. What inflation makes us do is rethink priorities on what we're buying and reset our budgets. We have to go back to some basics here. And, people don't like to have to do that. I know I don't like to have to tell my husband no, that he can't go and just buy whatever he wants. We really want to be a little more mindful.
True.
And
true.
It sort of stinks, but
I had a really bad Halloween joke come to mind. Of course I have to tell it because that's who I am. Is we're in a recession of really bad times when the criminals have to use generic razors in the apples. I mean, that's a really bad joke. I digress. I'm sorry, but I'm thinking to myself, we kind of have to giggle a little bit. But inflation to you means, inflation to me means it's customizable to people's situation. Inflation to you means what, Miss Mantell?
It means it's time to reset. And I literally mean you're going to take a weekend, and you're going to sit down and look at your numbers
as you're eating ice cream.
Yeah, because the grocery bill can't keep going up. And thank goodness, my kids like yours, they're grown and gone. So I don't have to feed an army anymore. It's just Dan and me, and not the entire neighborhood. But the families, who have young kids, heaven forbid you have boys. I remember, my brother eating 4 boxes of cereal for a snack.
How much does milk cost? Like a gallon of milk? I don't even know. I'm like George Bush walking through a grocery store. Is that a scanner? What's a scanner? Scanner? How much is
so funny? I was just in the grocery store 2 hours ago, and I bought a half a gallon of milk, skim milk, $3.69, $3.59.
That seems high.
Times 2. Yeah. So, it's a lot. Yeah. So when you're feeding a family, you have fewer choices.
Was that a good George Bush imitation? I'm asking.
It was excellent.
Where's that, a scanner? Is that a scanner? What's a scanner? I don't know what a scanner is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So yeah.
Scanner?
So I do use these. I don't use that darn scanner at the grocery store, by the way.
No, I hate that. By the way, can we talk about that for a second? I want people to check me out of the, I like to be waited on at a restaurant. Does that make me, as my daughter said, bougie? Does that make me bougie? No, it doesn't make me bougie. No. I want people to check me out. I don't know how to scan things. I don't even know how to put in a light bulb. You're asking me to scan and the other thing that drives me crazy.
Like 9 bags worth of groceries, right? And Stan, there's never the code I need for the kind of apples I bought. And I'm always, something's dinging and it won't go through. And I'm not even buying, cigarette and liquor. It's just the basic
It's
stuff.
a grocery criminal magnet, in my opinion. You could be, here's another one that I understand. And I know we're kind of digressing, but that's what we do, Marsha. Okay. I'm walking through the Houston airport, and they've got the where you can buy the overpriced Cheez-Its, which, $8 bag Cheez-It and things like that. But it's an honor system. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think we live in a country, do we? Or have they run studies where people that fly are honorable people? I'm telling you, they're not. Because I sat beside a guy that drank 8 Bloody Marys on a 2-hour flight. That's not honorable. That, you know what that is? That's a goal setter is what that is.
Yeah. Wow.
8.
Well, I'm back traveling also. And in fact, I'm going to Miami next week for the FPA of Miami event. They've invited me to talk about Social Security with my buddy, Bob Powell. And
tell him I said, hey, I know Bob. He's a great guy.
I thought you might. Yep, he's awesome. So we're going to chat about all things Social Security. And so I'm back in the airports. I've been back and forth to Minneapolis and Denver and whatnot. And the behavior is not stellar, let alone honorable. So I haven't seen the total honor system. I've seen the scanners are in a lot of those
it's interesting
shops.
It's interesting. It really
is.
I
don't want the scanner, thank you anyway. Plus it takes 3 times longer because they never work, or you've scanned something and it's like binging and making noise and you've done something wrong. It's like,
but that ties back into inflation, recession. Notice I'm gonna close that loop.
Yes.
People will say, well, people need to get paid more, and minimum wage needs to go higher. I'm no problem with that. But what happens with businesses, because they're in it for a profit, I know that's scary to some people, is they're just going to start eliminating people. McDonald's is flipping burgers. No, they're doing fries with robots now. In some places.
First job, Stan.
I know they just
my
eliminated
very
you.
first real paying job was making fries at McDonald's in Corning, New York.
Listen, now that you did that, I have a theory that McDonald's fries, which are great, there's like some type of illegal drug inside of them. Is it true?
Not back in 1979, there wasn't.
Because you can't stop eating them. That's my whole point. Like that, it's like a crack thing in there.
Yeah, it's totally true.
But recession and inflation is about, companies still have to make a profit. I know that just scares a lot of people, that word profit. But they're just going to adjust. I always tell people, be careful when you tax corporations, because they'll just raise prices. They're going to pass it on. Okay.
They do pass it on. One interesting thing, inflation related, where food at home has gone up. What was the overall number? 11.2%. Food in the restaurants did not go up that high. I want to say it went up 8.5% maybe.
Why is that?
Range.
Why is that?
Yeah. Eating at a restaurant, I know it's so long ago, but where some corporations do quickly pass on increased cost to the consumer, the restaurants, and particularly the small business restaurants, mom and pop on your street, they are really working hard to not pass on all the costs to the consumer.
Yeah.
So I find that really fascinating. Like when you're part of a community, when you know everybody, and when you're part of the fabric of your main street, you're less likely to, you need to stay in business. So you do need to be profitable, but you don't need to be as profitable as some others who aren't part of that fabric of your downtown.
It's a it's a balancing act for a lot of these companies and restaurants, and especially people that are interacting with consumers, walk-in type businesses like that. It's hard. It really is. Medicare, how about that pivot? Medicare,
that was a gentle one.
It's a hard pivot. I just ran up to the stop sign and stopped. Medicare, what's new? What am I missing with that? I know that you're saying to yourself, Stan, you shouldn't even be talking about Medicare because you're so vibrant and young, and you act like a 35-year-old, because it's unbelievable what kind of vitamins are you taking. But with that being said, it's not true, none of that. But Medicare, talk to me.
Yeah, Medicare. Love this topic of Medicare. So one bit of good news off of a bit of bad news. So last year we had a very large increase in Medicare Part B premiums. And this is the part where you get help paying your doctors and outpatient services and so forth. And Medicare went up, I forget the exact numbers, $28 a month, a huge increase, because it was a particular Alzheimer's drug they thought was going to move further along, got a plan for it, blah, blah, blah. It went up a lot. But this year, because it's sort of a built-in increase, we didn't actually need it to be quite that high. So this year, anyone on Medicare got a $5.20 reduction in their Part B. So Social Security went up, Medicare went down a bit. So net, you're coming up ahead even a little better. So I'm very happy about that for those who pay the standard premium. Medicare, though, overall, I'll tell you, Stan, it is so complicated. When I hear people who haven't dove into Medicare,
I think is the word. Dove.
Okay, so if you haven't dove into the deep end of the pool,
D-O-V-E, Southern, D-O-V-E-N, dove into
Medicare.
Yes.
You think it sounds good when you hear things, Medicare for all and single payer. And when I hear those words, my hair is on fire, because it's like only people who don't know how Medicare is structured would want that for everyone. Now, I get the sentiment. Everything is incredibly complex in our current state of non-affordable healthcare.
Sure.
But Medicare starts with 4 pieces. We can't even call them parts, because part is a technical term in Medicare. Part A is hospitalization.
So we call them pieces.
Pieces.
Okay, so what are the 4 pieces? I don't even know what the 4 pieces are.
You are in such fine company.
Thank you.
Everyone thinks they just joined Medicare, that it's this one thing you
Correct.
do.
I'm going I'm going through the Medicare door, son. I'm going to walk right through it. I'm going to get my darn Medicare. What are you talking about? Pieces.
Well, not only, if you only get Medicare, we're talking about Part A, hospitalization, Part B, pay your doctors. But you would owe a ton of money out of your own pocket if you stop there. So the other two pieces are Part D for your prescription drugs, and then some type of supplemental insurance. We're going to just call it Medigap for right now. And that Medigap pays for your out-of-pocket expenses you would otherwise pay for A and B. So I draw a little chart. So 2 boxes on top with a rectangle underneath. So Medigap sits underneath A and B. And then you have your Part D plan. Now, you can also get a Medicare Advantage plan, which is essentially the same thing, except it's structured behind the scenes differently of how the money moves.
All right, stop. I've got a vent right here. If I see these ads like, I'm going to check my zip code, and if my zip code has it, then I'm going to get, guess what? Spoiler alert, every zip code has it. I'm going to check my zip code. These are the dumbest ads ever.
They're so bad. Actually, I started tweeting out last week. So I saw one, I was in Denver, and I thought it was just in Denver until I got home. It turns out I was watching the Hallmark Channel, if truth be told.
Of course you were. Of course you were.
This ad comes on, and it's Martha.
Oh, with the big glasses.
Yes.
What is, listen, first of all, they stole that from me because I have the fictitious Chester and Martha as my client. Chester talks like this and Martha's his wife. I don't need an annuity. That's who I use as the Martha with these big, huge glasses and yelling at the screen. I'm telling you, Marsha, that commercial is at a second grade level.
And not only that, it is so disparaging and so I don't have, other than curse words, which I have in my arsenal, all of them. It is so horrible how they are portraying our older Americans.
Would that be classism?
It's
something.
And it's something. It's like, it's beyond ageism, right? It's so horrible. And it's so unacceptable. So anyway, I tweeted Hallmark. I haven't heard back from them, and said, knock it off. Take this off of your rotation. This is beyond.
And I'm mad at Joe Namath, and I'm mad at JJ Walker. I love Good Times, but if I hear those two guys again,
it is despicable what is going on with these ads. And yet, I will tell you that every single ad gets approved by the insurance commissioners of every state. So if it's
so you're telling me an insurance commissioner approved the Martha ad with the big glasses?
Yeah.
That person needs to be punched in the face.
Well, there are 50 of them, but yeah.
Can I punch? I mean, seriously.
I truly don't understand.
Of course, I'm not pushing violence. I'm saying that as just an example of anger.
Yes.
Exactly. We don't want to punch them. Okay. But
yeah. So I called the number, Stan. I was so mad. I recorded it on my cell phone because I didn't think I was going to see that ad here in Massachusetts. Oh boy, was I wrong. Grab some screenshots, even put the screenshots in my tweet to Hallmark. I called the number, and boy, did I get a runaround.
Oh yeah.
It was.
What's your zip code? What's your zip code, Miss Mantell? Let me check your zip code.
So I played along, right? I gave them the information. They sent me over to an agent here in Massachusetts.
Oh, sure.
So they at least, I guess, got the zip code right.
Yeah.
And he claimed to be a licensed agent in Massachusetts. I don't know. And I said, I called this number from this hideous ad. Who are you? Like it's not like it was Blue Cross or Humana or no one's claiming this. No. I have no idea. And of course, my favorite part of all these ads, including the drug ads, the typeface is 0.2 on the font. So there is no human who could read the disclaimers, and certainly not us older people who have 9 pairs of glasses to figure out the distance. So yeah, I am a mission. Now, I will never stop that, but if I can at least help some people, whoever find me, and I can help them to understand what really goes on and how to make decisions between Medicare Advantage plans, which are not bad, and Medigap plans, you get to decide, each individual. And you need to understand that you're not going to pay less with Medicare Advantage plans over a 30-year retirement. A lot of times you actually pay more. So
which gets us back to the Medicare for all that drives you crazy, because it's a customized plan and it's not a Medicare for all where we're all getting the same thing.
That's right. That is exactly right. And even, I mean, it's atrocious because you have, depending on your zip code, Stan.
On your zip code, Marcia.
Yeah, do you know it? And then your county.
I called to check on my zip code. I love this film. Like, oh my gosh, I hope that's an actor.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just hoping, because no one could be that dumb.
That horrible. Yeah. Yeah, but maybe not on TV, maybe somewhere, but yeah.
I called to check my zip code.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
So, you do have to spend some time on this. I tell people this: do not try to figure out Medicare in a weekend, right? This is not your DIY.
Here's the other one. I called to check to see if I get what I deserve. What? I mean, that's one of the lines too. Like,
it is. And Martha complains, why don't I get all
why don't I get that?
I could not believe how low someone would go to put that kind of ad on American television. Like,
the only competing industry on that level of nauseousness would be the annuity industry, but they have outdone the annuity industry. Oh, they've outdone the annuity industry. All the nonsense annuity stuff. At least with annuities, you get to go eat a good steak or chicken dinner. I mean, this stuff is nonsense.
This is crazy beyond crazy. And in many states and zip codes, you can have, I can't remember offhand, but Pennsylvania has tons in a lot of the zip codes. Michigan, Ohio. Ohio has something in one of the zip codes. I did an analysis for a lovely woman. 86 Medicare Advantage plans.
Huh?
86. Like, who thinks that's a good idea? Like, that's just nuts. So
the person out there that's the loyal listener and follower of Stan the Annuity Man's Fun with Annuities podcast, growing by leaps and bounds, you're telling them what on Medicare, how to decipher and go about this? What would you say?
It's a very thoughtful process. Know what's most important to you. So is the most important thing to you flexibility, where you can go anywhere, any doctor that accepts Medicare. Maybe, your grandkids are in California and but you live in Arizona, so you want to go back and forth. That's Medigap. That's maximum flexibility and steady budget throughout your retirement years. You know how much you pay every month, times 12, that's your payment.
Got it.
However, if you are in an area, and there are lots of areas that are a little more rural and they don't have tons of choice, there's one hospital system, one clinic, one whatever, maybe Medicare Advantage is better for you, and you're fine being in a network. You're fine doing co-pays, because some years you're going to be healthy and you're going to pay less than you would with a comparable coverage Medigap plan. But other times you're going to be sick and you're going to pay a lot more. So it's what's more important to you, the flexibility, or
where do you get sage advice on this? Because it ain't JJ Walker and Joe Namath. Where do you go to have that type of level of honesty?
It's pretty tough. You've got a shot with your SHIP representatives, the State Health Insurance Assistance Program. Every state
has with a
SHIP.
P. You said that with a P.
With a P. Yes, I should have been clearer. SHIP.
I didn't know if there was another acronym I needed to be aware of.
No, not with that word, but
okay, got you. Okay,
so
SHIP
program with the P. And it's a free resource. You don't pay anymore. It's part of the Medicare whole assemblage of support. And you can talk to your local SHIP representatives.
How do they get there? Is that like ship.com?
Actually, it's, well, you'd think so. You can, the easiest way is to actually Google Google your state. So where you, Las Vegas, Nevada ship, but the actual
No, you might not want to do that in Las Vegas because something else might come up. But let's just say you're in Kansas.
So kansasship.com.
Kansas Ship Medicare. Google it. It'll pop.
Yeah, Google it. And it's also Ship TA Center. Ship, SHIP as in Paul, T as in Tom, A as in Apple.
Gotcha.
ShipTACenter.org. And you then click on your state and you find your people. So that's one option. Another option is to go to an independent health insurance broker or agent. So it's
you just jumped off the cliff and looking for a parachute.
Yeah, a little bit, but the independent guys I think are way better than just calling an insurance company where you've done no research and they're just going to sell you into a Medicare Advantage plan.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Gosh, what a messy,
it's tough.
Messy. Same thing with Social Security. I mean, people make these decisions. Do you recommend them going into a Social Security office and trying to get real? You're shaking your head to a point your neck's going to hurt. What?
I know. Yeah. That's what people would like. That is not the role of Social Security's agents. The agents are very good at, in this moment, helping you know, not decide, helping you know, do you get more money if you claim on yourself or more money if you claim as a widow or widower?
But that's actually what we need them for.
Right. They are. I mean, and I don't mean this disparaging at all. They truly are order takers. They need you to come in and say, I'm ready to claim my Social Security and this is the lane I want to go down. And then because the process is hectic and kludgy. So we need them to be really good at the process.
Wait a minute, you said a word that I'm not familiar with. Kludgy?
Yeah.
Spell that, please.
I don't have any idea how to spell it.
CLUEGY. Kludgy.
Kludgy. We'll Google it.
I like that, but kludgy meaning have a clue?
No, meaning it's gnarly. It's complex. There are a lot of steps to get the process right.
You know, that's it. See, Marsha, I hang out with you and just information it flows off of me like a shower of information. I'm going to walk around and just use the word kludgy randomly today. Yeah. It's like bougie, but it's not. It's kludgy.
But not. Oh, see, now you can go to your girls and tell them Dad learned a new word.
Yeah, I'm not only bougie, I'm kludgy.
Exactly.
So, okay. So we've talked about that.
You do need a financial advisor in many cases, or
for Social Security.
Or do a lot of reading. I mean, the good news is there is tons of information out there. The bad news is there's tons of information out there. So how do you sort through it? How do you navigate this? And under the words are so persnickety, you know, things that you think you know, you don't know the application of them in that. What did I get caught up? Oh, income. So we have this big bill here in Massachusetts called the Fair Share Bill. We have a flat tax in Massachusetts, and some people want higher income people to pay more.
Sure.
So when you hear income, what do you think? What do we mean by income? Well, W-2 wages, right? Or self-employment.
Right.
That's not income when we're in the tax environment. Income is everything on the front of the 1040. So income is W-2 wages, and it's distributions from your IRAs, and it's annuity income, and it's pension income, and it's interest income. Oh, and capital gains. And if you sell your house and you have a big balloon payment that year, that's capital gains. So income is much more complex,
right,
kludgy, than we think. So we have to get underneath this stuff. It's the same with Social Security and Medicare, you know, admitted patient. Well, if you're in the emergency room, aren't you an admitted patient? You're in the hospital. Oh, no, you would be wrong. You are not admitted.
See, I just saw something this morning, Marsha, that correlates into this very, very seamlessly. Ford is coming up with a van that you can live in, the van down by the river, as Chris Farley would say. And they think that it's really going to catch on. And at some point in time, as we go into, you know, our chapter 2 of our lives, you want simplicity. That van, look, I mean, I was sitting in my apartment in Las Vegas, Nevada, which I'm here a couple, people know we have office in Florida and we have one in Nevada. And I'm thinking, there are times that sounds pretty good, because it's complex. Let's go live down in the van down by the river. Now I understand for people that really like showers and bathrooms, that's a little bit of a push, but this stuff is complex. I always tell people when you retire, you do have a part-time job and it's called your retirement. And it's not turnkey, unfortunately, unless you don't care and you're going to live in the van down by the river. But even then, you're going to have a couple things that you need to do. But I think it's interesting that, I watch these trends, pop culture. To me, that's a pop culture trend of people tapping out and saying, I'm tired of all of it. I just want to go live in a van.
And if it's an all-electric van, I don't know how to use most of it. So that's going to be a problem for me. I've gotten the hang of the push button. I do miss my key, but I've gotten the hang of the push button.
I know. But I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
No. And one day I couldn't get in my car.
Yeah, I don't trust it.
I don't know what I did, but it wouldn't unlock. Nothing worked. So, but that simplicity. So it's funny you mentioned this because I have, as part of the recession conversation I had the other day, what I share with people is what we're asking our retirees to do. The people who've already, put up with this for 40 some odd years.
Yeah,
right?
They've paid their dues. They've paid their dues, man. They're there.
Your easier years. And so we ask them to do the near impossible. We want them to be cool, calm, and collected for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
When the market's going up and down, the economic cycles are going crazy, like what we're living through now. We want you to pay all your bills on time.
Yeah.
We want you to get all the tax rules right of things you've never had to deal with. And don't run out of money because you don't get a paycheck. Like, who thinks this is a good idea, Stan? Like, oh my God.
That's the reason I always tell people on my clients, there's no U-Hauls behind hearses. If you see one, take a picture and send it to me. Live for the day. I always tell my girls, my grown girls that are out of the house, my last check's going to bounce. So, I do have life insurance, but I'm gonna burn the candle at both ends, and boy, what a flame that'll be. But I do think it does say maximize the day. And I know that sounds cheap and cliche, but because of chaos and there's always chaos in the world, but it just seems to me right now, it's a lot. It just seems a lot. And I hear from my clients all the time that they just want a simplistic route. I mean, that's what we do here is simple stuff, contractual guarantees. And we're getting inundated because I think people are done with it all. They just want to go do their thing and live their life.
It really is so, it's so challenging. Let me finish that thought. And I'll share with you something that every day in our walks of life, Stan, we learn new things. You learned kludgy today.
And you learned bougie.
And I learned bougie.
Yeah.
And the other day I got a call from a person who said, my mother's having a problem getting my father's Social Security check. Okay, I'll bite. That sounds intriguing. Well, it turns out the father had just passed away. And the last check had come in, they had been deposited. It's like, well, why is this a problem? Well, because they have separate accounts. So dad's check was deposited into dad's account and mom's check was deposited into mom's account. I'm still going, okay. Weren't they signers on each other's checking accounts? No. Okay. Did they have a payable on death designation?
No.
No. No. Did they have an executor?
No.
No.
Ugh.
So I don't know the banking rules for this particular situation. I'm going to do some digging and I'll, they were going to talk to the funeral director to see if he's run into this before, but it is that kind of complexity, Stan, that if you don't know how the entire freaking banking system in America works, you can end up where your wife doesn't, in that case, his was twice as big as hers. They were traditional married. He was, I don't know, in his 90s. And so he was getting, I don't know, let's say $2,000 a month. She was getting $1,000 a month. So together they had $3,000 to pay their bills And now mom doesn't have any money this month.
And see, here's the thing. This is what I think we should be teaching in school, because I have a theory on all of this. See, I came from rural America, poor America. And the reason I'm sitting here in the financial business is I was always intrigued why other people had money and we did not. Nothing against my parents. I love them. They did the best they could. But for people that don't have that drive to figure out financial stuff, which is the majority of the country, boy, we need to be teaching the basics of this in every level of school, every single year. So people have a foundation, because I don't know if people know this, and this will blow your mind right here. Over 50%, I read the story, over 50% of the country use gas stations as their bank.
What?
Yes, like they don't have banking accounts. So they go to the local big gas station to get money orders and things like that. They use the gas stations as banks. And the reason that the gas stations are getting bigger and bigger and super gas stations is because most people just transact there. They feel comfortable with that. 50% of the country, Marcia. So
it is astounding.
And that's where we're at, because we haven't, are we getting political here? We might be. We haven't educated everybody. If everybody was, knew what a check was and knew how a bank worked and knew just basic stuff, because if I wouldn't have gone in the financial business, I wouldn't have known that.
Totally. I put akin to a car, right? The engine of a car apparently is very sophisticated.
That's what they tell me.
No, I know how to open the hood, Stan. So
I don't know how to open the gas thing anymore.
Oh, that I know how to do. Well, that's a survival thing. So, and not everywhere around here pumps gas for me, but I go out of my way to go to the one gas station where the nice man does pump the gas. So I love those guys. It's different in New Jersey. They all pump the gas for you. I love to go to New Jersey, but it's so complicated. So even, what are we going to teach our kids? Because I'm totally on the bandwagon with you. Like, we need to teach our kids this stuff.
Civics, banking,
and college. Yes.
Civics, banking, government, how it all works.
Right. And not just how to write a check. It really is about money movement.
Correct.
And it's about credit scores. I wrote an article, I think last year, had kind of forgotten about, we bought, maybe not our last house, but close to it. We're old. We've got 50 years of credit history almost at this point.
Marsha, you're 36 years old last time I checked.
Oh, if only. Nope, 61. So it's really only about 40 years of credit history, but I'm feeling older today, I guess. And so you think, like, I've made it, I don't need to worry about these shenanigans anymore. Wrong. If you are buying into a 55 plus community, they ask for your credit score.
Of course they do.
If you need a new credit card because there's something you don't have, you need a good credit score.
Of course.
When you're going into assisted living, you need a freaking credit score. And and I knew that, but I didn't know that. It's like one of those things that hadn't quite risen to the top of my, oh dear God, how are our retirees supposed to know? They're
not, and a lot of them are just falling off the cliff. We got to talk about your books. Books. Oh, Marsha. Let's talk about your books.
Finally, when I was on last time, I was threatening to have my first book, second edition, come out. I finally got it over the finish line. So it just went up on Amazon. This book is What's the Deal with Retirement Planning for Women. I will send you a copy, Stan, as soon as I'm just waiting for my author's copies to arrive. Okay. I would be happy to send you one. It's got a new groovy green button on it that says second edition.
Nice.
And I put updates in there. And actually I added a lot about this credit score, as it turns out, and added 3 new chapters. So I added
Can men read this book?
Yes, and they should.
That's what I'm thinking.
The difference really is that women have our role has been different. So it explains the role of women in their households and with finances. And so it would be very helpful for men to understand how we look at the world. And it's not the same. So yes, it would be very helpful.
I just came up with your tagline. It's a book for women and a must read for men.
I love that.
That is so beautiful. I'm a marketer, Marsha. You know that. I mean, my underwear has Stan the Annuity Man logo on it. So but I digress. I'm just saying, yes, it is I asked that for a reason. Because I think if you're writing it to, and you did, to the female woman that is not up to speed on all this, they need to get up to speed. Most men aren't up to speed.
That is so true.
And
There is
so they act like they are, and they put their chest up, go, oh God, let me tell you something about money, son.
Yeah.
I know it. I am money. No, you're not.
No, you're not. I want to say it's the American College had a survey. They ran for a long time, a retirement income survey, and it was the relatively hard questions. I think there were 20, 25 questions, whatever. Something like 17 or 20% of women scored even in the acceptable range. I mean, it was abysmal.
Sure.
No one knows anything about retirement income.
Sure.
And for boomers, 92% of women have been married or are still married.
Sure.
So our base, our institutional base is marriage.
Sure.
So we have these husbands. and so I showed the women, I was doing this presentation for all women. And I showed them, I said, ladies, look, like 17% of us know what we're talking about. It's like, oh, that's awful. But I know they're thinking, thank God I have my husband because he knows everything.
No.
And then I showed up the other side of the slide, right? And it shows the men are only at 28% or something.
But they think they know, which is more dangerous.
Do not rely on your husbands. They don't really know that much more than we know. And so it's, really the blind leading the blind. And we can't have that. The world is too complicated now.
Well, and I always say, Marsha, and you can steal this one from me, or as they say in the music business, lift. Net worth does not equate into IQ.
Oh,
some of the dumbest people I've spoken to are multi, because a lot of them are in the genetic lottery business where they've inherited, trust fund babies, and they're walking around going, I'm a multi-millionaire, son. No, that's the reason, because your dad worked his rear end off and you got it and he didn't spend it. But the point is, I don't think just because you have money means you know it. No. I mean, every single day I'm really in the financial business. I've been at 3 decades. I learned something that I didn't know before. And then my job from there is like yours, is to simplify it and put it in English.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because it is whoppingly complicated. And it's
that
hard.
Is a great phrase. Whoppingly complicated. I love that.
And it really
is whoppingly a word?
Well, it is today.
Whoppingly complicated.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
I love that. It's I don't have a sophisticated vocabulary. As I mentioned, I got a lot of 4 words in my vocabulary that we're not going to use today.
And whoppingly.
But I know, aren't they so much better?
How did you weave that into? You wove that into a podcast. That's incredible.
It was not I didn't know I was going to say it. It is, and persnickety is one of my favorite words.
Yeah, you said persnickety, but whoppingly is good. Yeah. Whoppingly.
Not whoppingly.
I love that. It is complicated.
Because how do we get the right magnitude on the problems people are facing? When a woman cannot get her, I don't want to say measly $2,000, but you know what I mean? She can't get a 1-month check because their accounts weren't set up correctly.
And we can't change the rules, for gosh sakes. We can't, that's the problem. Marsha, we're up against the clock. I know you're saying, Stan, can we keep going longer? Can we please do another hour of this? I know what you're saying. And that's what the listeners are saying. I understand that.
Yeah.
I got to get on my Learjet and fly back to Florida, and,
how fun.
Yeah, but I don't
Will you be in Miami next week?
I don't have a Learjet. No, I will not be in Miami next week. Right. I would like to do, but when I speak at those events about annuities, it becomes somewhat of a fist fight that I always win, but it's a fist fight nonetheless. No, it's all good. But listen, I'm so glad that you came back on, and don't be a stranger. You've got more books and stuff on the horizon.
I do.
We'll have everything on my site so people can link to, etc.
Thank you.
What's 2023 look like for Marcia Mantell before we close this out?
Yeah, I am hoping to get 2 books. I'm almost finished with a guidebook to help people walk through this retirement income stuff. I hope to get that launched early in the year. And then I've been dragging my heels because fortunately I've been busy. But the 3rd book in my What's the Deal with Retirement Plan and What's the Deal series, there's retirement planning for women, Social Security for women, Medicare for Women. That's the one that needs to get written and get off my outline and out to the public. It's just so important for everyone. And thank you so much for this tagline. Books for women, but a must read for men.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
tip your waitresses. The other thing I was gonna beg you is when you decide to run for political office, I'm there. I will be the campaign manager because we need people like you in charge. But so let me thank you once again. I want to thank everyone else on all the major podcast platforms and all of you maniacs watching us on the Fun with Annuities YouTube channel. I will see you next time.